G'day folks, my name's Brandon Chaplin. I'm the president of the Iron Bank Cherry Gardens Football Club. This is a audio letter to the people who love our football club, just to make sure that you're up to speed of all that's going on. We were, as a committee, blissfully getting about preparing for the 2023 football season when we received a phone call from the Bridgewater Football Club on Wednesday, the 5th of October. And unbeknownst to us, Bridgewater were seriously considering their future in Division 1 and their future generally. They called us because we have had for the past 2 seasons a fantastic relationship with Bridgewater. And out of that, we have created the Iron Raiders, which has kept Iron Bank with a junior program in under 18s, 16s and 14s. And it's kept Bridgewater with a under 18s, 16s and 14s program because they needed those 3 junior teams to be in Div 1. And we needed those 3 junior teams to rebuild our junior program after it had taken a hit in 2017 after we chose to come down from Div 1 into Country Division. Anyway, we were not expecting that call. And on Thursday, the 6th of October, the next day, a small committee of myself, Don Watton, Craig Lidstone and Chris Laddams, who had already planned a meeting about our senior program for next year, talked about that and then discussed whether we would have a chat with Bridgewater, to which we agreed. So on Monday, the 10th of October, just a few days later, the 4 of us, plus Dave Adams, sat down with 3 members of the Bridgewater committee to discuss whether there would be a future discussion. And there we learned that Bridgewater was serious about their future. They were interested in a merge. And of course, Bridgewater's problem became our problem because without Bridgewater, we have no program to play our juniors. In Country Division this year, there was no under 18 competition. There was no under 16 competition. And there was a 14s competition, but it only represented 6 country clubs and 2 Div 1 clubs. To have juniors playing at all 3 levels, at 14s, 16s and 18s, we must play in Division 1. And so Bridgewater, being in Div 1, has enabled us to do that. If they were to join Country Division or to fold, we would find ourselves with no place for our juniors to play. And so we had to have that conversation. So we had that with them on Monday, the 10th of October, and discovered they were completely serious. The first task of our group then was to meet with the senior playing group, because for them, they had to think about their future. Our senior men have been enjoying the fact that for the 6 seasons we've played in Country Division, we've always been a contender. And so they need to come to an understanding of how the whole HFL works. And so we sat down with senior players and we discussed the issues that were before us to get their view of what all that meant. Because everyone needed to understand how the fact that our juniors are dependent upon playing in Div 1. And so we explained that to them. And after an hour and a half of discussions, we found that there was a general mood that they would be open to further talks. In between time, members of our committee had spoken to our fabulous life members, people who were pioneers and founders of our football club, to discuss whether there was any possibility and for everyone to understand what all this meant for us. And so there was a general open-minded, open-hearted view that we would take this further. In the meantime, Bridgewater had decided that they would have an open meeting with their players, supporters and members. Bridgewater has a proud history It originates back to 1895, and when they joined the HFA, the predecessor of the HFL, in 1956. So they have a rich and long history, and as I've already said, we have had a great relationship with Bridgewater. We have helped each other to be the clubs that we have become. They went to a meeting on Thursday, the 20th of October, and there was general agreement they would pursue and continue discussions about a merger with us. Just a few days after that, we met as a committee. We have a fabulous committee, an energetic committee, a committee that involves every aspect of our football club. Just remember, the Ironbank Cherry Gardens Football Club isn't about what you just see with senior men in an A-grade game. There are A's, B's, there's a women's team, there are moddies, there is 14s, 16s and 18s, and our committee oversees that whole thing. Our football club is much greater, and for the future of our football club, we must have all of those teams firing on all cylinders. Now, our committee is myself as president, Don Watton as vice president, and includes Bernie Hegarty, Yuri Obershak, Beck Wilson, Julia Deed, Kerry Hughes, Craig Lidstone, Rob Keane, and Fern Van Loon. And this committee understands the length and breadth of our football community. We discussed whether we would continue these talks. We made sure that every member of the committee understood what was before us, the challenges that we had, and we were unanimous in taking the next step and appointing a merger subcommittee. We had thought long and hard about who we might invite onto that subcommittee so that we might spread the load, because this whole matter has been difficult, time-consuming and personally taxing for everyone involved. And we wanted as many perspectives as possible. And as I've already mentioned, aside from these meetings, countless phone calls have been made, discussions had, and viewpoints heard. And it certainly has been a challenge for us to ensure that people understand the facts and the reasons for these discussions. It seems that when people understand that Bridgewater's problem was our problem and the rigid constraints of the HFL with the junior competition in Div 1, people have gained clarity as to why we remain on this path. Let me repeat again. To have our own juniors playing in all three grades in the HFL, and we don't want to send them to Mitcham and Modbury, under 14s, 16s and 18s, they must be playing in Division 1. And only clubs with all five grades, A's, B's, 18s, 16s and 14s, qualify for Division 1. And as I've mentioned, in Country Division, there is next to no junior competition. Anyway, we appointed members of a subcommittee who agreed. Legend and life member and pioneer Noel Morgan is on that committee. Will Muden, who's been part of the club since he was a young lad and the previous captain of our footy club. Kerry Hughes, who oversees our moddies and was the Auskick Person of the Year. Yuri Obershak, our women's director. Dave Adams, former president of our football club, and Don Watton, our vice president, and I think just one of the great, wonderful servants of our football club. So they were appointed, and last Thursday night, the 27th of October, you can see these things are moving fast. They met with the subcommittee that was appointed from Bridgewater, and they put together a memorandum of understanding based on the advice that we had received from the SANFL. Right? And they said, we don't actually go through the technicalities of mergering now. We just need to work out how we can work together and think through how we can come together in 2023. And so that group has been working on that memorandum of understanding. And so they have put together a draft. They're working through it as we speak. And then tomorrow night, Thursday, the 3rd of November, they will be discussing that again. I just want to thank those people who have contacted us and supported us. Now, I've had emails in responding to the emails that I've put out, but I just want to read to you one from a parent of a Māori kid. Remember, this is about the medium and the long-term future of our football club. And he wrote to me, "We are hoping for clear direction to the best way forward for the club with all this, Brandon. I'm sure it is not easy for you and the committee, as it's all volunteer time trying to run a club and make decisions about its future. All in your own italics spare time. I understand this well with my involvement in other clubs. Thank you for your efforts and please pass on my thanks to the other people involved. It is a thankless task no matter what the outcome." And this is what we need to have in mind. The future of our kids from 8 years old through to 14 years old. There may be a wonderful opportunity for us in the future of our football club. If we do merge with Bridgewater, it creates for us a strategy of a larger footprint. Bridgewater have a fine history, they have a population, and we hope that if this merger comes about, that Ironbank Cherry Gardens will be the base where we are on the corner of Cherry Gardens Road and Acklands Hill Road, but we'll have access to both ovals, and that we will seek to use the opportunity of a larger population for our future. Anyway, that information is to come out as we continue putting together the memorandum of understanding, and there will be an information afternoon meeting at 4 p.m. at our football club this Sunday, the 6th of November, where we will just remind people about what's been going on and where we see things happening in the future. Again, let me reiterate, this is about the medium to long-term future. We want to keep our kids playing in the HFL. When we decided to head back into Country Vision after being in Division 1, it did have a major impact. In 2016, when we were last in Division 1, our A's finished 7th, our B's finished 5th, and our 18s, 16s and 14s finished between 3rd and 6th in a 9-team competition. In 2017, when we joined Country Division, there was no under-18s comp and we had no team. There was no Ironbank Cherry Gardens team at under-16 level in 2017, and there was only a 14s. In 2016, we had A's, B's and C's. I was the C grade coach. We had 18s, 16s, 14s. In 2017, we had A's, B's, no C's, no 18s, no 16s and 14s. It has been a long way back, and whilst we have had such great success at senior level, it has come at a cost. And thankfully, in our association with Bridgewater and the Iron Raiders, we've been able to repair that and grow our juniors again. And we have a young senior squad, and albeit it will be tough in Div 1, we are optimistic about the future. So there is just some information for you, for those of you who wanted to get up to speed by listening to an audio file because you weren't getting the emails or you struggled to read. That's where it's at this point. We are aware that it's difficult for everyone to understand, and it's not been difficult for us also. All of us have reacted to what has happened, and it's been emotional, but we've got great people who are steadily working through this, and we are hopeful we'll come to a great arrangement that will strengthen the future of our football club. Thanks for listening.